Minerva presents. Welcome, bookworms, to a virtual haven where stories come alive. Today, we immerse ourselves in the vibrant world of The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Your support as a viewer means everything to me. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, please show your appreciation by liking this video and hitting that subscribe follow button. And if you have any questions or ideas, I'm all ears in the comments. Chapters 1-5. The Picture of Dorian Gray begins on an afternoon in London, in the studio of the artist Basil Hallward. Basil discusses his latest portrait of an extremely handsome young man named Dorian Gray with Lord Henry Wotton. Basil says he will not exhibit the painting because he has put too much of himself in it. After they go into the garden, Basil explains how captivated he has been by Dorian since he first met him a couple of months earlier. Lord Henry makes some witty, cynical remarks about life, and Basil chides him that he does not really believe what he is saying. Then Basil expands on how Dorian's personality has suggested to him an entirely new manner in art. He sees and thinks differently now and envisions a new school of art in which soul and body are in perfect harmony. They return to the house where Dorian is waiting. Basil puts the finishing touches to his painting as Lord Henry expounds his philosophy of how to live a full life, which is not to be afraid of passion and sensuality as a way to fulfillment of the soul. Dorian is moved by Henry's words, and Henry goes on to speak of the beauty of youth and how it is destroyed by time. When Dorian looks at the finished portrait of himself, he is struck by his own beauty in a way he has never felt before. He feels sad that he will grow old, and his beauty will be spoiled. He then says he would give everything, even his own soul, if he could always remain young and the picture grow old instead. A month later, Dorian informs Henry that he has fallen in love with a young actress named Sybil Vane, who plays Shakespearean roles in a tawdry theater in the London back streets. Henry regards this attachment as an interesting psychological phenomenon, and he resolves to study the nature of Dorian's sudden passion. Later, he receives a telegram from Dorian announcing that he is engaged to marry Sybil. Sybil explains to her mother about her love for Dorian, whom she calls Prince Charming. Her mother thinks she is too young to fall in love. James Vane, Sybil's 16-year-old brother, who is about to leave for Australia, is concerned for her welfare. He is suspicious of Prince Charming and tells his sister that if the man ever wrongs her, he will kill him. Chapter 6-10. Dorian, Henry, and Basil go to see Sybil play Juliet in Romeo and Juliet. Her performance is awful, and Henry and Basil leave after the second act. After the performance, Sybil admits to Dorian that she acted poorly. She explains that now she is in love with him. She knows what real love is, and all the dramatic roles she has acted seem unreal. She can no longer believe in them. But Dorian says he only loves her because she is able to bring great art to life, and he does not wish to see her again. When he goes home, he notices the picture of himself has changed. There is an expression of cruelty in the smile. He hides the picture behind a screen and resolves to go back to Sybil, make amends, and marry her. The following afternoon, Lord Henry brings him the news that Sybil is dead. Henry makes some cynical remarks about love and encourages Dorian to view Sybil's death as resembling a scene from a play. Dorian quickly overcomes his grief and vows to enjoy remaining young. He convinces himself he does not care what happens to the picture. The next morning, Basil reproaches Dorian for his callousness and attributes it to the influence of Lord Henry. Dorian says he can never sit for him again and refuses to allow Basil to look at the picture he painted. Basil wants to exhibit it, but he reluctantly accepts Dorian's decision. Dorian arranges for the picture to be hidden away in an upper room that has not been used for years. Chapters 11-15. As the years go by, rumors circulate in London about Dorian's lifestyle, but his charming appearance makes it hard for anyone to think ill of him. The picture, however, grows more horrible as he continually searches for new sensations and frequents disreputable areas of London. People start to distrust him. There are whispers of scandals. When he is 38 years old, he meets Basil by chance in a London street. He has not seen the artist for a long time. Dorian invites Basil into his house, where Basil confronts him with the stories about how he has ruined so many people's reputations. Scandal follows him everywhere. Basil wonders whether he really knows Dorian and remarks that to find out, he would have to see his soul. Dorian says he will show Basil his soul, and he takes the bemused artist to the room where the picture is stored. He removes the curtain that covers the picture and shows it to Basil, who is horrified. Dorian feels a rush of hatred for the artist and stabs him with a knife, killing him. He goes downstairs to the library and ponders how he can get away with his crime. The next day, he summons Alan Campbell, who used to be his close friend, to his house. Campbell is an expert in chemistry, with a reputation for undertaking unusual experiments. Dorian tells Campbell that he has murdered a man and asks him to destroy the body, so that no trace of it remains. Campbell refuses until Dorian threatens to blackmail him over some shameful secret that Dorian knows about him. That night, after attending a dinner party, Dorian burns Basil's coat and bag. At midnight, he goes out and hires a hansom cab. Chapter 16-19. Dorian is taken to an opium den in a disreputable part of the city. There, he encounters Adrian Singleton, one of his former friends who has been disgraced. As he leaves, a woman yells at him, calling him Prince Charming. A sailor hears this and follows Dorian outside. The sailor is James Vane, who accosts Dorian and intends to kill him. But when the still, youthful-looking Dorian points out that whoever deserted Sybil must be many years older than he, Vane lets him go. But then the woman, who called Dorian Prince Charming, tells Vane that she first encountered him 18 years earlier. Vane rushes after Dorian, intending to kill him, but Dorian has vanished. A week later, Dorian is attending a dinner party when he thinks he sees Vane peering in at the window. He fears for his life and does not go out for 3 days. Then he joins a shooting party led by Sir Geoffrey Clouston, the brother of the Duchess of Monmouth. The hunt is called off after Sir Geoffrey accidentally shoots and kills a man. The man turns out to be James Vane. Dorian now bitterly regrets his life and desires to change. He tries to do good by breaking off a relationship with a working-class girl named Hetty, whom he has been deceiving. But Lord Henry mocks his desire to change, saying he is perfect as he is. Later, tormented by his corrupt life, Dorian takes a knife and slashes the picture. The servants then hear a terrible cry. Dorian is discovered dead, with a knife in his heart, but the picture is as perfect as the day it was painted and shows Dorian in all his youthful beauty.